Hi everyone, it's Simon here with a review of Deiland. Deiland is a single-player adventure agricultural RPG, I guess, that's available on PlayStation 4 and PC. I believe the PC has just had a recent update that gives it slightly more content than the PS4 version, but don't quote me on whether or not the PS4 version has been updated yet. This is the PS4 version that you're seeing on your screen, but I'm just a tiny bit away from getting the Platinum Trophy, so I've not seen if that extra update comes like after that, if that makes sense. The game itself sees you play as Arco. And Arco is a young child who has been placed on the planet of Deiland to look after it, cultivate it and protect it, because there are some crystals that kind of breed inside it that will control some of the elements of the world, so you need to be good and look after it. And the way how Arco does that is to farm it to hell. So you'll start off with your little hut and nothing else much apart from a few trees and a lake. And then what you need to do, chop down the trees to create wood, to build structures, or to start building implements that then allow you to plant crops. You'll then need water towers to water the crops. You'll want to have a diverse selection of crops so that you can then build out into your kitchen and make different dishes so that you can feed yourself and keep up your stamina and your hunger meter. Then you'll want to go fishing because as visitors come along, they'll probably want some of your fish or some of the food that you've made, or just some of the resources that you've gathered along the way. Later on, you'll start getting the opportunity to build a mine and to mine for rocks and different metals and materials that you can then trade with your space pirates and so on and so forth. And although there's lots and lots of really great game mechanics, they never ever really take centre stage above the feel and the chilled out nature of Deiland. It's one of those games that feels like it's much more than the sum of its parts, because although the game is highly repetitive, it's an absolute joy to just kind of chill out and mindlessly collect the crops, water the flowers, cut down the trees, pick the berries from the bush, fish from the lake. And then as things go along, you'll start to get visitors that will come to your planet, and then you'll be able to trade from them from the shops. So you might be able to sell some of your metals so that you can then buy, I don't know, bait to go fishing with, or specific mushrooms that may not grow so easily on your planet but do on others. And throughout the vast majority of the first half of the game, you will be on Deiland just building up everything that goes along. What I really liked about it as well is that Deiland has its own ecosystem. So it will rain, and that will speed up crop production because everything is built on a timer. So it might take 4 minutes for some carrots to grow, but it might make 15 for some watermelons. But if you water the flowers, then the crops, then that will reduce the time. But sometimes it will just be raining anyway. But what that will also do is that the rain will cause mushrooms to grow, and then you can pick the mushrooms if you want, but the more mushrooms and the less tidy you keep the world, the more likely that you'll have some enemies that will appear. And that will send you into battle. The battles themselves are very hack and slashy. They aren't really a challenge at all. It feels like it's there just to kind of give some danger. Alongside that as well, the other thing that kind of felt a little bit tacked on, although I kind of liked it, is that meteors will come and hit your planet, and it will zoom out and you'll have to spin around the planet so that the meteor will hit where nothing you want to be to burst into flames will be. So I found that quite funny, but the way how that kind of brings stuff in is that occasionally the story will kind of hit a dead end if you don't have all of the crops or stuff that you've used. And say if you've accidentally chopped down your last version of something, unless a seller buys something for you, you might get stuck. So these meteorites will come and shine down, give you some crystals, and they'll miraculously have seeds transported from another planet, and it will allow you to continue on with the game. So it's really good for getting you out of dead ends, essentially. Now, these characters that will come down and visit you will all bring different quests at the same time, and that is the main kind of story focus of Deiland. There's an overarching story that will continue on, but it will be throughout doing all of these quests, which will almost always be, I need X to do Y. So you'll then need to gather the resources for that, create it, and then give it back to that customer or that visitor. Very rarely you'll get a couple where there's some monsters that are about that you just need to kill, but they're so easy to deal with that it doesn't really pose much of a threat at all. Later on in the game, you will then be able to leave Deiland and explore a second world, and on PC now a third world, and this is where I'm a bit discrepant between whether or not the PS4 and the PC version are up to the same date. I've only had the second world. The PC, as of April 2019, had a third world added. I don't know if it's in PS4 yet, where you can basically go and get some more. So on the second world, you can go and get some more rarer bits and bobs, some new stuff, meet some new characters. You also meet a magician who will give you a staff so that you can cast spells, which essentially means that lets you control lightning, ice and fire, which is quite cool, but very rarely actually comes into the story itself at all. And again, it's another version of a mechanic that's been put in and could be really well done, but feels like it's not really been integrated into the story particularly well. But it didn't matter, because I just thoroughly enjoyed the zen-like nature of Deiland as a whole. I could see this game being quite Marmite for some people, because it is slow-paced, it is zen-like in nature, it's not going to trouble you at all, and it's very surface deep, if that makes sense. But normally that would be a criticism, but because it goes into this whole aesthetic of cute, chilled and relaxed, it actually works to Deiland's advantage. And where I've seen that Chibig, the people that have made this, are now just completed a Kickstarter for their new game, which adds even more layers in, I'm super excited to see where this as a series goes. Because what Chibig do is all of their worlds of their games are kind of interconnected. So the second world that you go to in Deiland is called Ancora. And that was their previous mobile game. So the character from the first game helps Arco in this game, and I could see Summer of Mara being also part of this world, and you can have other characters go forward. So I think the more you invest in the Chibig world, I think you'll get more out of it as well. So there's lots and lots to do. The game itself, I'm approaching about 16-17 hours to get the actual Platinum Trophy itself. It has got slightly tiresome towards the end, but because I've kind of picked up and dropped it, and I use it almost for a de-stressor, it's just that I'm coming back and doing the same things just to kind of get those last couple of trophies over the line, if that makes sense. I'm not necessarily invested too much in the story. It's cute and it's fine, but the characters, the way how it all comes together, the music is lovely, the graphics are great, the mechanics are simple and easy and mindless to do. This is essentially a chill-out mobile game made for console and PC, and I see nothing wrong with that and recommend it to people who just want a de-stressor at the end of the day. If you have any comments or questions, please do leave them in the comments below, and I hope that was informative. Thank you very much for watching. Chill out. Happy gaming. This channel is just one of my many projects that cover games, music and film. If you enjoy any of these and would consider supporting me to develop further in the future, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Satorimon. Thank you for your time and for watching the video.